the fact that people have cell phones and can record police behavior on the spot has fundamentally changed what we know about police behavior. Unless you were on the wrong end of that baton, you didn't really get to see firsthand some of these malpractices that have been occurring. Now you get to, thanks to cell phones. Chuck will remember in Memphis not that long ago, where police were objecting to people using their cell phones to record them. And it took, if I remember right, a court decision that said, no, you can't tell people they have to turn off their cell phones. They're out in public. They're not interfering in the arrest by simply recording it. And therefore, you have to let them do that. So I think cell phones have been a reality check for police behavior and has helped make clear some of the issues that are being contested in this movement. But social media and the 24/7 news cycle can't be ignored either. Neither one of those existed in the 60s. You had to wait till the newspaper, then if it happened at 10 o'clock at night, it was going to be the newspaper a day after. Now you know in real time. There are actually people giving you live reports 24/7 of these demonstrations and interactions with the police and political responses and the demonstrators' response to the political responses, and away you go. And so this is a much more real-time, call it what you will, rebellion, movement, and it adds to the different feel that is unavoidable. We're watching it right in our living rooms. And this is a revolutionary, small r, revolutionary event that we've not experienced before.
I can go on to social media. I can go on I can go into the web universe, the internet universe, and read nothing except people who agree with me, right? I can go on and listen to only jazz produced in 1962, right? Or rock and roll produced in 1959 or whatever, right? I can go and engage and find, I can find my niche and stay there. I can find my wheelhouse and live happily ever after if I so choose. We also have to be careful not to sell social media short, as Mark was talking about, right? In terms of, this has been one of the most effective organizing tools that activists have ever had, right? In terms of the ability to mobilize people, where, people on the ground in Ferguson sending out these images, right? And people in Memphis were like, yo, that's just 4 hours away. Let's go. Also, we got to remember, right? Social media is the reason that George Zimmerman actually gets charged in the Trayvon Martin case back in 2012, right? The cops were perfectly prepared, and the DA, right? This is important. It's not just the cops, also the DA, right? The legal justice apparatus in that Florida town was perfectly prepared to take George Zimmerman's word around what happened, that this kid holding a bag of Skittles made him fear for his life, and so he pulls his gun and shoots this kid to death, right? And that was going to be the end of it, right? But but social media grabbing onto that story and making that story a national story. This has echoes of Emmett Till, right? In terms of the ways in which that story gets nationalized, right? Emmett Till's abduction and murder, it becomes a national story, right? If that story stays in Mississippi, nothing happens, right? Nobody gets arrested, nobody gets charged, nobody goes to court, right? And certainly nobody's going to jail, right? None of that stuff happens. The reason it happens is because of the national attention that the NAACP and Mamie Till, Emmett Till's mother, right, and other local and national organizations bring to bear on that moment to say, you know what? And Mississippi says, hey, you know what? We have to at least pretend like we're interested in justice down here. So echo chamber, yes. Tool for organizing, yes. Also a great, the great revealer, right? Showing us places and spaces in real time so that we can have a sense of the events as they literally are unfolding. Now, I think all of the instances we've seen people shot on film, if there's no film, there's no case. Walter
Right.
Scott, same thing in South Carolina, right? Running away from the cop, being shot. We also see the cop and his accomplice, right, planting guns, putting stuff in their hands. You know, if there's no film of that, that case goes. There is no case. It's also really important for us to emphasize here that the presence of social media, that the presence of video does not necessarily get us justice, right? You know, George Zimmerman was taken to trial, is found not guilty. The cop who shoots Tamir Rice after arriving on the scene in 1.3 seconds, not guilty. You know, back in the day, in the 1990s, Rodney King video, right? King being beaten by 4 LA police officers, not guilty. That's why we get the Watts, you know, that's why we get the rebellions in the wake of that case, right? So this doesn't necessarily give us justice, but we can only imagine what would not have happened had we not had access to this video.
And one more dimension that I don't want to fall out, and that is in terms of the current movement, it really contributes to its sort of organic nature. Every one of these marches doesn't have a permit to a parade permit. They're not going down to City Hall and getting a normal permit for these blocks during these hours. I mean, that may happen occasionally, but basically people are on their phones. Oh yeah, let's go over 3 blocks over. We're going to do this. And then, you know, 20 minutes later, we're going to go up here. And people are organizing themselves on the run on their phones. And so, you know, it boggles the mind to think what that might have meant back in the 60s to King's movement, to have had that flexibility to just move and so on the spot. This is an organic mass movement, and it is facilitated to a large extent by cell phone technology.